So we've put our ocean shader in a really handy button for you in our custom lollipop shader shelf in Maya here. And in this quick video, we're just going to demo how to use that, because before this, you had to sort of manually load the shader and do a bunch of connections. So we just want to make it a lot easier for you to drop this into your scenes right out of the box. So let's do a quick demo. So I've got a fresh scene in RenderMan, and we just want to make sure we're rendering to RIS for this example, because that's where the ocean shader's working. So we're going to go render RIS, and we're just going to hit this ocean shader button in our lollipop shader shelf. And what that does is it pops up the node editor if you don't already have it open, and it drops this node network in here. And we'll take a look at all the different settings in here in a second, but let's not even look at it. Let's just do a quick render, because we want to see how quickly we can get to a render with this. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm just going to go into my viewport, hit the space bar, hit create poly plane. So we're just going to have a simple polygonal plane. I'm going to make that a lot bigger. So I'm going to scale it by 500 and 500. That'll be more realistic of an ocean surface. And we're going to go to our RenderMan shelf. I'm just going to click on this create daylight light. So we're just going to click a daylight, and that's it. We're not going to modify anything else. We'll zoom out a little bit. And if we bring back our node editor, we're just going to assign this shader. So we've got the geometry selected, and we're going to go on PXR Disney Ocean, right click, assign material to viewport selection. And let's just hit a render. Let's see what that does. So we're going to hit the IPR re-render. So just low quality settings to see what we have. And voila, we get a nice wavy surface on our geometry. And we can of course move the camera around. If we want to come in closer, we can see that. And the point there is we just want one button, we drop it in, and we get some nice waves out of the gate. There's a lot more stuff this shader does, but at least you don't have to set anything it up. So let's bring in that node editor again and just show you what it actually does for you that you had to set up manually before. So I'm just going to select my nodes that it dropped in here, and I'm just going to select these and just view all the input-output connections, and I'm going to just zoom in here. So this is the setup that it does, and it drops in a RenderMan displacement node and connects it to the shader automatically, so you don't have to plug it in anymore. It sets a couple of important attributes like the displacement bound so you don't get tearing, and also it sets it to world space instead of the default shader space. Sometimes you can have issues rendering in shader space and your render will stop, so we wanted those settings. And we've got some basic settings for the wave out of the gate, but if you see this purple one, that's an expression, and it shows the current frame. So if I scrub through the scene, you can see the frame changes depending on what frame I'm on, but that'll actually animate your ocean. So if I ran an animation on the queue, it just automatically set up. You don't have to do that anymore, and you can see upstream it creates an expression and a time. So you can right click, edit that expression, but you don't need to set it up anymore. This all just happened, click of the button. Also assigns a surface shader. In this case, we're using PXR Disney, and we just set a couple of parameters in here so it looks like ocean color. But you can plug in LM subsurface like we talked about in our other video to get nice subsurface scattering on the ocean. Check out our other videos on our YouTube page and our ocean rendering playlist. But in this one, it's just a lot easier now. We have it in our shelf. It just drops it in and it creates all this for you. And at just a click of the button, you get your base ocean waves out of the gate, and then you can add different things. And the first thing that I would play with is turn on these sharp crests. So that gives you some nice sharp crested displacement on your ocean. We turn those off by default, but if you turn those on, you'll get some nice sharp wave patterns. So go ahead and play with all those settings, but this way you'll just get it right out of the gate there with a click of a button.